Prepper003 here today with another gear concept video today, and this one is going to be something I know a lot of you guys talk about, especially in the minimalistic community, and that's going to be the battle belt / war belt, however you guys want to really think of it in the terminology aspect, but it comes down to the same thing, pretty much a belt system that you're running, that you have your pistol holster on, your mag pouches, maybe a dump pouch and other things on it instead of wanting to run a chest rig or a plate carrier. Now the nice thing about, I'm going to hit the pros first on this, but I'm going to go down and then do the cons about running a battle belt towards the end of the video. Now the pros are going to start off with the ease of use. Now what do I mean by that is it's very easy to quickly don and doff a battle belt. You can easily quickly throw it on, click your belt buckle, and then you're good to go. So if need be, say for example you're protecting your home, your ranch, your compound, or your bar location, whatever, and all of a sudden it's an all hands on deck scenario, you're able to quickly grab the belt, throw it on, and you have a basic loadout however you set it up. Like for example, this one right here, 2 magazines and 1 pistol magazine and the pistol and the dump pouch. And then the IFAK on there. Very simple, very minimalistic. Now I know you could go with one pistol mag and 1 rifle mag if you wanted to, or however you want to, but it's very simple. It's all right there, all the immediate stuff that you need at the thing. Now maybe you might want to put a canteen on there, but that's up to you. But for that scenario, you can easily quickly throw this on, and instead of having to worry about trying to get the straps through the plate carrier or through your chest rig and then get it to buckle over on the side, this one right here is just a quick boom, grab your rifle, and you're good to go. So for a quick grab and go type of ideal, that's a really good thing to have, even if it's just as a standalone system. And now, as I already touched on earlier, is the minimalistic aspect of it. If you're wanting to run this as your solo rig, not wanting to run anything for a plate carrier or a chest rig, you're wanting to strictly run the battle belt as itself, it's good to go as well, as I mentioned earlier. Now the nice thing about it is if you're looking at it is a more low profile, and that comes on to the next thing about it, is that along with the minimalistic part where you're not having to deal with all the extra weight of the gear, you're also getting the lower profile of it. Because a lot of people see a lot of this right here rather than this, especially depending on the scenario where you are, especially if you're doing guard duty or something like that for your compound. Having something up here in a more militaristic fashion, similar to this right here, you have something down here. And a lot of people run stuff on their belts, even if it's just a standard holster and some pistol magazines. So it might not be as alarming like if I'm wearing something like this right here, where it's a lower profile type thing. I can throw a jacket over myself and still run just 1 magazine, 2 pistol mags, and my IFAK here, and then my pistol. And it's nice hidden, and it's more along with that gray man feel. It doesn't have to be specifically to a huge molly system like this. It could be a standard belt just woven through your belt loops, as you see right here. So it doesn't have to be in a militaristic fashion like you see here or here. It can be something that's still low pro and being able to be properly concealed, but still be usable and still be able to keep you in the fight for that short period of time, even if it is just to get you to a heavier system or a heavier plate carrier or a chest rig. So it all depends really on what you want to do with it for the usage, but the setups are pretty similar. Now I'm going to get on to the cons of it, just because I don't want to get too off on a tangent on any of these specific points. You are going to deal with a significant lower round count than you would for a plate carrier or a chest rig. Now that depends on how you have it set up, but the one thing you're going to have to worry about is balance. Because if you try to put too many rounds, like just completely have like 7 mags on one side, have your pistol mags in the front here, and then have to do a whole bunch of other stuff, 2 canteens and all that, and then you have your if you do put all of that on, you're going to have to run your pair of suspenders, because that thing's not going to really want to stay around your hips with all that weight. If you have so much weight put over onto one side, it's going to get really, really lopsided on you and throw your balance off. And I don't know exactly where your situation is, but if you're having to hike, especially on a lot of different ridges and higher, very steep areas, you could end up injuring yourself or causing injury to your team, depending on what happens. Because if you fall off of a ledge and break your leg, and then now they have to try to go down and search for you and get down to you, and that could lead to them exposing themselves or them getting injured themselves. So it just comes down to, you want to kind of outweigh what you're wanting for what you're getting with the battle belt. That's just one thing you have to really think about. Is the concept is like I mentioned earlier, is that they kind of tend to be more minimalistic, but you can, if you want to really load it up, just have to be remembering that you are going to have to deal with the balance, because you are lowering it from being supported by your shoulders to being on your waist. Now, as I mentioned, you can get suspenders for it, but you have to deal with, there's now going to be more stuff working onto you. So it's just up to you on how you want to run it, but that's just one thing I did want to mention, is that for the most part, for a lot of people, you are going to have a lower round count than your battle belt. Well, sorry, than your chest rig or plate carrier. Now, the nice thing about that is, I'm just jumping one quick second back up into the pros, is that you, as I mentioned, you can do it as a tiered system, to where you can use it as a supplementary thing to your chest rig or to your battle belt. And I'll have a little display here to show you just a kind of an idea right here, just to show you that you can use a battle belt and a plate carrier at the same time, or you can use a battle belt and a chest rig at the same time. So that's just one thing I want you to be aware of, that it's not, you don't have to limit yourself specifically to the battle belt. You can fight your way to more ammunition if need be, but just realize that as the battle belt alone, you are dealing with a little bit of a lower round count. The also thing is if you are using it as a standalone rig, you are going to also have to deal with a lack of ballistic protection as well. So unlike a plate carrier or like a low-vis plate carrier system, where it's just pretty much a housing for your plates, there's not any way to attach anything to it, you are going to still have to deal with that lack of ballistic protection, to where if rounds start coming your way, God forbid that actually happens, you're not going to have the extra bit of protection that you would with a plate carrier. Now, given you're not having to deal with the extra weight of the plate carrier, you're able to be more mobile with the battle belt and war belt, but you just have to realize that you are going to have to deal with that being there and not being there as well. So, and the last thing I already touched on was going to be the lack of balance depending on how you set it up. So just to be a little bit cautious on how you set yours up, and be sure to balance it out. And if not, and if you do have to deal with the off kilter due to weight, just realize that you are going to have to kind of mitigate that with maybe using suspenders or something else, or maybe reevaluating your loadout. Now, right now, I just wanted to go on to give you some examples of some gear that you can get. Right here is, I'm going to kind of give you like pretty much the three basic setups for the battle belt, and this is the more heavier style setup, to where it's a thicker exterior belt with a belt going through the exterior belt. Now, this one right here, as I mentioned earlier, you have one pistol mag, two rifle mags, IFAK, the dump pouch, which you can do a lot with the dump pouch. You don't have to specifically put just empty magazines in, and the pistol holster and the pistol. And now, the one thing I like to do is I like to keep all of my pistols holsters oriented into the same place, so if I need to, I can switch it over from one rig into the other. So this one right here is my DMR-ish / recon setup here, which is very simple. The only difference is that this one does not have an IFAK. I would take this IFAK that I have right here off and weave it on to this one. But just as you have right there, very simple, 2 magazines, 1 pistol mag, and then the pistol. And the nice part about these type of rigs is that you can fashion them to be very similar, and you can set them up to be for a multitude of different rifles for a multitude of different people. Now, the one thing, as you'll notice right here with this exact rig, is that it's just a straight battle belt. There's no interior belt, there's no liner or anything else, so it allows it to sit very close to the body. in that being very minimalistic and cutting down a little bit on the weight exterior of the belt and cutting closer to your frame. The last thing I have right here is more of a Brayman-ish rig where I have the inside the IWB pistol holster, then I have 2 pistol mags, 1 rifle mag, and then the IFAK. The biggest thing being the IFAK. So that's pretty much the 3 different types of battle belts. You have a very heavy duty military style one, if you will. Then you have a little bit of a low profile one that doesn't have much of the extra frills or anything that this one does, but it still sits very close to the body and is very easy and maneuverable. And then you have one that's very low profile, very minimalistic, as it doesn't have anything exterior on it. It attaches strictly to your belt, so that kind of helps cut down on the extra movement and shiftment that you get with some of these ones right here, where it's not attached to something like a Velcro line or anything on your belt. This one right here is attached directly to me, so it seats and sits very nice and snug onto my body. So I want to hear what you guys really think about it, on if you guys prefer a plate carrier, a chest rig, a battle belt, or if you like to tier it up as you saw earlier and as I mentioned earlier, with a multitude of different things, or if you just want to run out of the pockets. So it all depends on what you guys want to run. This one was pretty much just dedicated to cover the battle belt. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Prepper003 out.